They told you the Ninth Circuit would never side with gun owners. They said California's assault weapon ban was untouchable, permanent, sealed. The gun control lobby was celebrating. Then March 2025 happened. 8 federal judges on the most anti-gun federal court in America issued a ruling that has sent shockwaves through every gun law in every restrictive state in the country. And here's what makes this genuinely extraordinary. Several of those 8 judges had previously supported gun restrictions. These were not lifelong Second Amendment champions. These were judges who looked at the legal framework after the Supreme Court's Bruen decision and concluded, on the law, not on politics, that California's entire feature-based ban system was flatly unconstitutional. Not somewhat unconstitutional, not partially flawed. Flatly unconstitutional. The foundation of America's assault weapon ban system just cracked wide open, and the legal aftershocks are still hitting courts across America right now in 2026. I'm Sarah from Firearms Law Advisor, 5 years in the firearms and constitutional law space. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly what the court ruled, why it threatens assault weapon bans in 9 other states, and what comes next when California walks straight into a constitutional ambush at the Supreme Court. Before we go further, Firearms Law Advisor exists for one reason: clear, accurate, legally precise analysis of Second Amendment battles that mainstream media either buries or gets completely wrong. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on every single notification. California's Supreme Court petition is coming. When it's filed, when oral arguments are scheduled, when the decision drops, you need to know within minutes. Drop your state in the comments immediately. Are you in California or another state with an assault weapon ban? I personally respond to every single comment. Let me tell you exactly why this ruling is historically significant, because the court that issued it makes it 10 times more powerful than if it had come from anywhere else. 18 months before this ruling, this exact same Ninth Circuit was enthusiastically rubber-stamping California's assault weapon ban. When federal judge Roger Benitez struck down the ban in 2021, calling it a failed experiment, the Ninth Circuit slapped that ruling aside almost immediately and kept every restriction firmly in place. At that point, most gun owners had accepted a painful truth. The Ninth Circuit was not your friend. It was never going to be. Then came the Bruen standard. The Supreme Court's 2022 decision completely rewrote how courts must evaluate gun laws. Instead of asking, is this reasonable regulation, courts must now ask, does this restriction have historical tradition going back to 1791? California's feature-based ban fails that test completely. There was no pistol grip ban in 1791, no adjustable stock ban. The founders never banned a rifle for having a detachable magazine. 8 judges, including judges who had previously supported restrictions, applied that standard and reached the same conclusion. On the law, California's ban is unconstitutional. The legal world is calling it the most dramatic judicial reversal on gun rights in decades, and the implications travel far beyond California. Comment right now. What state are you watching from? And did you ever believe the Ninth Circuit would issue an 8-3 ruling striking down California's assault weapon ban? Type your state and never thought so or knew it was coming. I want to see what this community actually expected. Here's the part that makes the court's ruling feel not just legally correct, but obviously correct once you understand what California was actually targeting. California's assault weapon ban was not targeting machine guns, not targeting military hardware, not targeting weapons of war. It was banning features, ordinary, common, functional features found on rifles owned by millions of law-abiding Americans. Pistol grip, standard on 89% of modern sporting rifles, banned. Flash hider that protects a shooter's vision while firing, banned. Adjustable stock that lets different-sized family members safely use the same rifle, banned. And here's the part that made the court genuinely furious. A completely stock AR-15 straight from the factory, never modified, exactly as the manufacturer designed it, was classified as an illegal assault weapon in California simply because it had a detachable magazine and a pistol grip. 24 million AR-15 platform rifles owned by law-abiding Americans would be instant felonies in California. The court noted these features appear on rifles used by over 15 million Americans for hunting, sport shooting, and self-defense. California called them all criminal contraband. And the people it affected most? Law-abiding California gun owners who spent an estimated $847 million since 2016 on compliance products, featureless grips, fixed magazine conversions, just to navigate a law that a federal court just said was unconstitutional the entire time. Tell me in comments, have you ever purchased compliance products to navigate a state assault weapon ban? How much did it cost you? Drop your number. I want to expose the real financial damage these unconstitutional laws caused to people who were simply trying to follow the rules. Here's where this gets genuinely nuclear, and why gun owners in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland, and 6 other states need to be paying extremely close attention right now. California was not alone. 9 other states have assault weapon bans using nearly identical legal language. New York's SAFE Act, Connecticut's post-Sandy Hook law, bans in Massachusetts, New Jersey, Maryland, Hawaii, Rhode Island, Delaware, and Washington. Combined, these laws affect over 94 million Americans. Here is the critical legal detail. Every single one of these bans uses the same one-feature test that the Ninth Circuit just declared unconstitutional. The court's reasoning does not stay in California. It travels. And Second Amendment organizations are already filing fresh legal challenges in the Second, Third, and Fourth Circuits, right now in 2026 days, pointing directly to this ruling as precedent. Legal analysts estimate successful challenges could restore standard configuration rifle rights for an additional 67 million Americans currently living under these bans. The Ninth Circuit covers California, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, Nevada, Arizona, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska, over 65 million people under one circuit's jurisdiction. This ruling immediately affects 8 other states beyond California before the first appeal is even filed. And here's what makes the legal momentum unstoppable. The circuit split is now crystal clear. Ninth Circuit says assault weapon bans are unconstitutional. Second and Fourth Circuits have upheld similar laws. That split means one thing: the Supreme Court must step in. Drop your state right now. Are you watching from a state with an assault weapon ban? Type your state and banned or free, because I want to see exactly which states my viewers are fighting this battle from and where the next legal challenges need the most support. Here's the strategic element of this case that legal scholars are calling a constitutional ambush, and why California may not fully understand what they're walking into. California has to appeal. Gavin Newsom has already called this ruling judicial activism and promised to fight it with every legal resource the state has. Attorney General Rob Bonta announced Supreme Court review almost immediately. But think about what that actually means strategically. California, a state that wants stricter gun laws, is going to walk into a Supreme Court with Justices Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett all holding strong Second Amendment records. They are essentially asking the most pro-Second Amendment Supreme Court in modern history to overturn a pro-gun ruling. Legal observers as of 2026 are predicting 6-3 or even 7-2 decisions striking down assault weapon bans nationwide, affecting gun laws in 19 states and making modern sporting rifles legal for over 150 million Americans. California doesn't realize it yet, but they may be building the exact Supreme Court case that permanently ends assault weapon bans across the entire country. Here's the honest risk, though. What if the court issues a narrow ruling? What if they uphold some feature bans while striking others? A bad Supreme Court decision doesn't just affect California, It sets national precedent that could lock in restrictions for decades. This is the double-edged sword of taking this fight to the highest court. Win everything or potentially lose in ways that affect every gun owner in America. Comment your honest prediction. Do you think the Supreme Court takes this case? And if they do you think they rule broadly to strike down all feature-based bans nationwide or issue a narrow ruling that leaves room for states to work around? Drop your prediction. I want real analysis. Here's the chaos happening right now on the ground in California, and nobody in state government has a coherent plan for any of it. This ruling makes an estimated 3.2 million previously illegal rifles suddenly legal to own in the state, overnight, with zero transition guidance from the state. The California DOJ's assault weapon registry, containing detailed records of 368,000 registered firearms, became legally meaningless under this ruling. Gun stores across the state are reporting complete confusion because the state has not issued guidance on whether they can begin selling standard configuration rifles. Law enforcement agencies are internally questioning whether they should continue enforcing a law that a federal court just declared unconstitutional. Officers making arrests under an unconstitutional law face serious legal exposure themselves. And what about the 847,000 Californians who spent hundreds or thousands of dollars modifying their rifles to comply with a law the court just said was unconstitutional the entire time? Nobody is talking about compensating them. Nobody has a plan. Here's the critical guidance for California gun owners right now. Do not immediately modify your rifles or assume enforcement has stopped. An emergency stay could be granted while appeals proceed. Acting prematurely during legal uncertainty creates serious criminal exposure. Wait for official enforcement guidance before changing anything about your current compliance. If you're in California right now, comment what you're hearing from local gun stores or law enforcement. Are they selling standard configuration rifles? Are they waiting? Drop your city and what's happening on the ground because real-time information from actual California gun owners matters more than anything state officials are saying. Let me show you the economic dimension of this ruling that reveals just how much damage California's unconstitutional laws cause to ordinary people. The assault weapon compliance industry, $2.8 billion built entirely around helping gun owners navigate feature bans, featureless grips, fixed magazine conversions, California-compliant furniture, all of it existing only because of laws a federal court just said were unconstitutional. California gun owners alone spent $847 million since 2016 on compliance products. Money spent navigating laws that should never have existed. Money that could have been spent on training, on additional firearms, on anything other than bureaucratic compliance with unconstitutional restrictions. Pre-ban rifles selling for $3,000 to $4,000 on California's secondary market. That price premium disappears if this ruling stands. The artificial scarcity created by unconstitutional restrictions evaporates. Manufacturers who spent years designing California-compliant versions of rifles, investing engineering resources and production costs into compliance products instead of performance and safety improvements, now have product lines built around laws that may no longer exist. The Ninth Circuit didn't just rule on a constitutional question, it pulled the legal rug out from under an entire market that should never have been created. Comment your answer. If you were a California gun owner who spent money on compliance products, do you think you're owed any compensation for costs incurred navigating an unconstitutional law? Type owed compensation or part of the risk, because this question has real legal implications as this case develops. Here's the bottom line. The Ninth Circuit, the most historically anti-gun federal court in America, issued an 8-3 ruling declaring California's feature-based assault weapon ban unconstitutional. 8 judges, including former gun restriction supporters, concluded on the law that the ban had no historical foundation from 1791. 3.2 million rifles legal overnight. $847 million in compliance products ruled unnecessary. 9 other states facing identical legal challenges right now. California will petition the Supreme Court. They have until roughly mid-2026 to file. If certiorari is granted, oral arguments by fall 2026, decision by summer 2027, potentially redefining what the Second Amendment protects for 150 million Americans. The next 18 months determine the shape of gun rights in America for a generation. Every gun owner in every restrictive state has a direct stake in the outcome. Here's what you do right now. First, subscribe to Firearms Law Advisor and hit that notification bell immediately. California's Supreme Court petition is coming. When it's filed, I cover it the second it happens. When oral arguments are scheduled, you need to know. When the decision drops, you need analysis within minutes of the ruling. Second, smash that like button and share this with every gun owner you know in a state with an assault weapon ban. Most people in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Maryland have no idea what just happened in the Ninth Circuit or what it means for their state's laws. Third, answer every question I asked. What state are you in? Did you buy compliance products? What's your Supreme Court prediction, broad ruling or narrow? What's happening in your local gun stores right now? Drop everything in comments. I personally read and respond to every single one. Fourth, any questions about how this ruling affects your specific state, the circuit challenges being filed, which organizations to support, what you can do right now, ask me anything below. 5 years in this industry. I track every major Second Amendment case from filing to final ruling. Real answers only. The court gun owners feared most just became the court that changed everything. The constitutional earthquake has started. Stay informed, stay legal, stay free. I'm Sarah from Firearms Law Advisor. See you in the next one when California files their Supreme Court petition.